We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today. Good morning. Sorry for the delay. Malcolm's computer playing up again, but we've got him here live and well. Malcolm, how are you, mate?
All right. Yes. Palpitations with a computer, but I think it's functioning now, isn't it?
It wouldn't be one of our shows without palpitations about computers from you or Gibbo or me. So never mind, mate. These things happen. Anyway, it is a question and answer session this morning. So I'm not going to go with any kind of routine and start the show. I'm just going to go with the questions. Tom Dixon got in very early with a question at 8:15 this morning. He said, question for Malcolm, what would be a successful season for Newcastle United next year?
Yeah, and a good one. Well, I think Europe for certain, and Newcastle have got to be looking now at becoming a regular side in the top 6 and work from there. We were one place out, and that one place, it's an absolute mile and a half, isn't it, away, because one place off of Europe. It would be nice to have Champions League back again, but I think the season in the Champions League, it came a bit early for that actual level of football, and so I really do feel that that we want to have a sort of steady progression, not going all the way like we did with just sort of jumping into the Champions League. So I think that Newcastle, a successful season for them is to get into Europe, have 2 exceptional cup runs. Certainly looking to get to Wembley in one of them, and it's about time that this club won a cup. I'm sort of speaking against myself here because we when I was playing for Newcastle in the 70s, we got to Wembley twice and lost both times. It's about time that that this club won something. Gee whiz, when you think that the last time that we won anything at all was back in 1969. It's a long, long time ago. And so we need to bring success and silverware back to St. James Park. And let's hope that we can start this coming season. And what I really would like to see is that that we reduce dramatically these long-term injuries.
Yeah. Okay, good question to start with. We're going to get through as many as we can. Ian McKenna, good morning. He says, Malcolm, can England win the Euros? Please say yes.
No, I don't think so. Watching them at St. James Park against Bosnia, the score over-egged the actual performance. And then we lost to Iceland, for heaven's sake. We've sort of scraped through against Serbia. So, and here we are with the Denmark game coming tonight or later this afternoon. It's going to be a real test. It should be that England will beat Denmark, but you can't easily say that anymore. Are we going to beat the likes of France, Germany, Spain? I'm really not sure. And so I haven't got the confidence in that side to say that, yes, that they're going to win it. What I would say, though, is I looked at that side that was put out in that first game against Serbia, and I thought, that's a lot of really talented footballers, a lot of really good players. And the team itself doesn't actually show that. And I feel that the team, for what they've got in it, the team underperforms. How many shots do you think there were against Serbia? And there were very few against Iceland. I think there were 2 efforts at goal, and it's just not good enough at all. That for the quality of that team, and that we should be getting a lot more efforts at goal in. And one of the problems is that we're not making use of Kane up front, and in the end, he starts drifting right the way back just to get himself involved in play. So we're not getting the ball to his feet, getting in there and supporting. There's a distance between midfield and the forward line. Also, I have to say, I really don't understand Gareth Southgate when he has got the best outside left in his squad, Anthony Gordon, and he's playing. And on the left-hand side, he wants to play Foden a bit out of position, really. Let Foden go and do his own thing, as he does for Man City. He's a fantastic player for Man City, but not for England, he isn't. And Gordon, he scores goals, he makes goals. You've got to get him into the side. Kane is crying out for the service of the likes of Gordon. Others just aren't supplying him at all. You get some stuff from the right from Saka. Great, but Saka one side, Gordon the other, Kane in the middle. That's a hell of an attacking side. But what Southgate's got playing at the moment is not impressing me one iota. And so, in all honesty, no, I can't see England winning this competition. Not for love nor money.
Okay, Taylor says, from his point of view, Jude Bellingham, he's a Scotland fan, Taylor, by the way. He says, looking from the outside, Jude Bellingham is the type of player that could drag it over the line for England. He's got some swagger on the pitch. He backs it up. All the tools in his locker. The only thing that he does have that irks me is when he does that whole sitting on the ground, slapping it like Ronaldo does, he says.
Well, yeah. But yeah, he and Rice, I think they make a very, very good central midfield partnership. And I just feel that you need have that width, attack on both flanks, get the service coming in from right, from left for Kane. And we will be a much better side. But at the moment, we're not quite one thing nor the other. And and I watched Kieran Trippier playing at left back, and defensively terrific, but he seemed to he seemed to be a bit out of things with regards to getting forward. And he's more than happy to get forward. Good heavens above. He was getting into the penalty area and all sorts. But what happens in front of him, he doesn't seem confident that he can join in with Foden there. Whereas you put Gordon there and there's a fabulous duo playing together. So I would, at the moment, drop Foden and I will put Gordon in.
Okay, and who is winning the Euros, says Taylor. Who do you think will win? We've seen all the teams now. I've got to be honest, my personal favourite, because of the host nation as well, I think Germany will be there or thereabouts. And I think,
of course they will.
And I think Spain again.
Sure they will.
Spain looks strong again. If you want a couple of outsiders to get further than they should do, is Romania and Turkey for me.
I'm looking forward to that game tonight, which is Spain and Italy, and that will tell a story in itself as to who might well win the trophy. But yeah, Germany at home, I think that they're the outstanding side at the moment, and will continue to prove to be so. They've got the home advantage, and they are a very strong side as well. Very strong indeed.
Yeah, lots of people agreeing with you with regards to England. Aaron, watching on LinkedIn, please jump over onto YouTube and subscribe to our channel, nufc matters. We do 7 shows a week, Aaron. But he says, totally agree. We've got Gordon, skillful, and to go inside and get in a shot or get a cross into the danger area. Yeah. The midfield had too many of the same type of player in there. No one that could open the doors and get behind the defence. And Gary says, Southgate doesn't play to our strengths. He always reverts to a defensive shape and the team drops deeper when we've gone in front. It is so frustrating. And I think, Southgate manages it almost as if he's managing a football side in a league, Malcolm. He doesn't manage it like tournament football. And I would imagine there is a big difference. You've managed yourself, but managing team over 38 games to win a football league or is a lot different to managing international. You shouldn't be worried about huffing people, should you? Drop somebody if they're not playing well.
Sure, it is different because one game runs into another when you're playing in the league. But with this cup competitions, you're playing against quite different sides, and so you have to be able to respond to what's right in front of you. What are you looking at? What's the best England side to go and beat what you're looking at? And I'm not so sure that he reacts in that way. That's why I personally would drop Foden, and I would put Gordon in, and I would tend to stick with the lad in midfield. And so we'd be the lad from Liverpool. What's his name? Double barrel name.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Trent Alexander. Yes, that's him. I would stick with him. I quite like him in midfield.
Really?
I wouldn't, as a defender, I wouldn't have him in the England side. He's not a good defender at all. So if he's going to be there, play him in midfield and let him go, because Rice tends to sit a bit, and he can let Trent Alexander and Jude Bellingham go on all the while, and go and attack the box in support of Kane, and then you've got the 2 wide men as well. Now that to me is an all-round attacking side. And at the moment, England are looking, without Gordon on the left, they're looking very lopsided over to the right.
Okay, great stuff. Keep your questions coming in. We'll be finishing at 12 o'clock, so we've got about half an hour left. What we'll do now is we'll have a quick ad break. We'll be back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.
And if you're looking for somewhere to watch the match today, England kicking off at 5 o'clock, but Supermac and Gibbo kicking off at 4 o'clock or thereabouts at Gateshead Leisure Centre. It is free entry to go and watch the lads have a chat about this fixture today and the Euros in general. So get yourself along to Gateshead Leisure Centre, and they are doing a great offer, a pint and a slice of pizza for a £5. So get yourself in, but it is free entry. And Supermac and Gibbo will be on stage with George and the Longsands for Dementia Matters at the end of season party on the 20th of July, 5 o'clock till 8. Tickets from nufcmatters.com and newcastlelegends.com. Tickets are almost gone for that event. So if you want to get along and support it, get yourself onto the website today and buy one. And Rob Lee and John Gibson will be taking part in the talking at the 2nd of August. There is going to be a change of venue for this. It is going to be at Gateshead Leisure Centre now. So if you want to get along to that event, get yourself in touch with Gateshead Leisure Centre. We will be putting out the details for that tomorrow night. Okay, let's get back to your questions. Quite a few questions coming in. We'll get through as many as we can. Ian McKenna, he says, a question for Steve. Can you sing your favourite England pop song? Well, I won't sing it, but my favourite one was always Back Home. They be thinking about us when we are far away. Back home. They'll be really behind us in every game we play. I think that's enough for the viewers. There's a lot of people on this show, Malcolm, don't like my singing for some reason. But at least I give it a go, Mal.
Sorry?
I said, at least I gave it a go.
Oh, you did? Yes, Steve. Yeah, you gave it a go. Yes, please don't ask for marks out of 10. But you gave it a go.
Some people might say how wise not to attempt a tune, Mal. I think maybe we'll leave it. We'll leave it there. Paints, plastics, and figures. Good morning, mate. He says, "How do, lads? With the new fixtures out, we don't seem to have a manic month on paper. So, with this being, do you think the board might rethink on how we do dealings this summer? Do you think the board will rethink on signings when a fixture list comes out, Mal?
No.
I get where he's coming from, but let's just talk through some of the key fixtures. August, we kick off at home against Southampton. Then we're away to Bournemouth. and then we're at home to Spurs. That's August. So that's what our opening month.
Yeah, you would think that's a really good opening. Home match to start the season, and also home match to finish the season. So can't complain at that. You know, and you, I look for fixtures like Man City, and we've got them at home fairly early in the season. Great, because Man City, I always feel, are a better side after Christmas. You know, that they're sort of warming up. And if you're going to catch them, you'll catch them better before Christmas than after.
And I mean, the rest of the fixtures, we always tend to look at the same things, don't we? We look at the Christmas period. So December, Liverpool at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home, Ipswich away, Villa at home on Boxing Day. So we're at home on Boxing Day, which is always nice. Mm-hmm. And then away to Manchester United at the end of the month.
And that finishes the year off, doesn't it?
That could be a key month, really, when you look at it. There's we've got that nice period of games, Brentford, Leicester, Ipswich. But then really we've got three teams there who've been neck and neck with you for Europe for the last two seasons. Liverpool, Aston Villa and Manchester United, who've all got pedigree, as we know. So December could be a key month if we're going to win something or be in the running for Europe.
Sure. But do you know, I don't think players really look desperately hard at the fixture list, and they just say, we take it as it comes. And so they just get on with it. And it's more supporters who go looking for the difficult times and what have you. Players don't see it that way at all. And really, nor do managers. You know, what you don't want is a match overload over a certain period, which it always used to be at Christmas. They've stretched that out now, thank heavens. But and at Easter, good heavens above, when I was playing for Luton, we used to play 3 games in 4 days, which, you know, that really sorted relegation and promotion out. It really did.
It's funny because December and April, Mal, for Newcastle, sees the reverse fixtures of December. So April gives us Brentford at home, Leicester away, Manchester United at home, Aston Villa away, Ipswich at home. The only game we're missing amongst that is Liverpool. So we've virtually got a replay of the fixtures from December and April, which is interesting. The end of the season, May, we always look at supporters. We always look at who we're going to get in the final few games. So we've got Brighton away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, and Everton at home is the last game of the season. So it's a home game to finish for Newcastle again, which, as you say, if they need to win that game to secure the place in Europe, it's nice to be at home, Mal.
Sure. Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's lovely to be at home. But also, when you say Liverpool away, I start to fume. I'm still fuming, you know, inside over what happened there 2 years ago. Do you remember that VAR decision?
I was there. Yeah.
Oh, my word. The VAR. The shadows showed it offside. Since when was a shadow offside, for heaven's sake?
I mean, I guess it leads to what's happening in the Euros now, Mal. Semi-automated offside seem to be working very well and seem to be speeding the process up. So credit where credit's due.
Oh, absolutely. And then they're making it a positive for the game. Whereas back in this country, we seem to make it a negative.
Well, it is coming in this country at some point in this season, apparently. So that's going to be good. Why bring it in halfway through a season? I don't know, but we learned something this week about that they're going to bring it in this season. So that is going to come to the Premier League, which is great. Okay, let's get back to the questions. Mitchell Brothers, good morning. He says, if you could have played for any other club in your career, Malcolm, who would it have been?
It's almost impossible to answer that, because I know that when I went to Arsenal, Spurs were interested. Whether they would have seen it through or not, I really don't know. When I went to Newcastle from Luton, I was told that Man United were interested, and Chelsea as well. And Newcastle, they moved very quickly come the end of the season. And literally, I played my last game for Luton, the last game of the season, on the Wednesday night. And on the Friday, I signed for Newcastle. And that's moving very quickly. He was shrewd, was Joe Harvey, very shrewd, the way he dealt with things. In all honesty, Steve, I'm not really too sure. Looking at things, the Liverpool side was very strong in those days, but if I'd had the choice of going to Liverpool or to Arsenal, I would have chosen Arsenal every time.
Okay, I've just stuck a link in the chat for those of you wanting to know when semi-automated offside's coming in. I think it's 24-25, so it may not be in the middle of this season. It may well be at the start of next, but we will see. Les, good morning. Which manager of Newcastle does Supermac consider the best?
Joe Harvey, without any shadow of a doubt. He wasn't a great tactical genius, but he had a lot of other strengths going for him. And when you look back, his record is quite phenomenal. Look at what he won with Newcastle United as a player in the early 50s. Won cup finals. As a coach, that he won a cup final in 56, coach at Newcastle. And then as a manager, he won the Fairs Cup. That's the last competition that Newcastle have won of a major nature. There were others, like the Anglo-Italian and stuff like that, Anglo-Scottish, that Newcastle won. But to win a European competition, that was great stuff. And there's been nothing at all since. Nothing at all from there. And so Joe Harvey's record stands out above everybody. And I don't think that the club of Newcastle, over the decades since Joe passed, bless him, I don't think anybody's quite worked out just how terrific he was for the club.
No, I would agree. And if there's anyone going to have a statue built or anyone going to have a stand named after them, for me, even though I never saw Joe Harvey's teams play, never saw him play, I did meet him once. Very lucky to meet him as a teenager. But yeah, there needs to be something, a way of honouring Joe Harvey, certainly for me.
Yeah, yes.
Other than the plaque at the ground, which we helped pay for.
I was just thinking that Joe was a smoker, and when I was playing, I was too, and Terry Hibbett also. And Joe would come into the dressing room after a game, and if we had a good result, he'd take out a couple of cigarettes and hand them to Terry and I, and light them up. And if we had a right stinker of a result, the fags wouldn't come out. But there was the odd occasion where he came into the dressing room and he took one fag out of his packet, and Terry and I just looked at each other. Well, who's had the stinker and who's had the good game? Joe had a lot of very different, sometimes even peculiar ways of getting messages across. and I found it interesting and quite fascinating at times, the way in which he would get those messages across to people.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from Alan McKenzie. Were there any defenders that could match you in a one-to-one foot race on the pitch, Mal?
The nearest anybody got to me was Colin Todd. He and I were very, very close in speed. I was just a fraction quicker than him, but by heavens, the competition that he and I had on a football ground was absolutely riveting, and I have to say that he partnered with Roy McFarland. They were the best centre half partnership that I ever came across. They had the power and aerial ability of Roy McFarland, who was also very good on the air, on the deck rather, very good on the deck, and one hell of a tough tackler. And he wasn't nasty in any way. He wasn't dirty. That he was just a real good, honest player. And then with Toddy's pace around him, oh my, that just flourished, that partnership. It really did. And for me, they were the best centre-half partnership going. But Toddy, he was really quick. And I suppose over a sort of 50-yard dash, I would maybe beat him by about 1.5 yards, maybe, but not very much at all.
Okay, and Paul Patterson, Malcolm, how annoyed at your teammates and manager would you have been if you had only had 3 touches all game like Kane had against Serbia?
Yeah, it was so obvious, wasn't it? And people were complaining about him coming as deep as he did, but he was just coming hunting for the ball. He just wanted to get involved in the game. And this is what I was saying much earlier on. This is why I think that if you play Gordon on one side, Saka on the other, and you stretch the pitch very wide when you've got 2 wingers like that. Foden, he was lost. He didn't know how to get himself involved in the game. As great a season as he's had for Manchester City, he was totally lost in that first match last week. And so you have to get central midfielders pushing up. Instead of Kane coming back, you get the midfielders to push up. And a comment earlier on was about England being defensive, Southgate setting them up defensively. The setup is okay, but it's how you perform then within the setup, and it needs the centre halves to push the central midfielders forward, get them pushed up, and then they get into support of Kane. And the back line should not allow midfielders to come back and sort of be taking it off the centre half's toes. That's silly. And so we need to do an awful lot more in the opposing half rather than playing the game in our half.
Okay, Gary says, a question for Malcolm. With your manager's head on, which player would you be trying to sign for Newcastle for this summer if financial fair play didn't exist? Is there a particular player you would think, oh, I'd love to have him at Newcastle, despite the fact that, FFP's around, if it wasn't around?
Well, I think I would be looking certainly to get a centre forward in. I think that Wilson, I think his time's up, really, in all honesty, and his injury record works against him so badly, and he's never been in a state to really cover a 90-minute match. And I think he's done great. He's a lovely lad, but what Newcastle are looking to achieve, or should be looking to achieve, it cannot carry passengers. And I'm afraid that Wilson and his injury, that he is a bit of a passenger these days. And the season's a long one, 9 months long. You need players to be fit. And of course, the season was pretty well wrecked for Newcastle with all these long-term injuries. I'd look very carefully at just what the medical side of it all is doing as well. But who would I bring in? I would be wanting a centre forward, but can you name me one who you would love to see?
I would have liked Osherman last year. I genuinely think Osherman would have fitted into the Premier League, and I think he would have fitted into Newcastle's style of play as well. Right. I mean, that's a money can't buy kind of player who I would like to have seen come in. If there's anybody at Newcastle, I mean, we are desperate for a really good goalkeeper. I think we're also, Nick Pope is getting on. He's had two severe shoulder injuries now.
Right, they've signed this youngster though, haven't they?
They're trying to sign Trafford. Yeah.
And he'll be the understudy to Pope.
He's got potential
with a view to taking over in a couple of seasons' time. I'd be bound.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think, if you're going to push me, I'd say Osherman. We need another great striker, somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net, and I would go for him. I think, of course, Haaland would be great to have. Imagine him alongside Isak, but I don't think Manchester City are going to be looking to sell him. Let's get another question. Blue Rhythm Boy says, "Hi Malcolm, have you ever met Gaza, and would you have liked to have played alongside him?" Lineker says Gaza rarely passed unless he was knackered or had no choice. Do you think he would have made goals for you?
I have met Gaza, and bless him, he's lovely, really lovely. He had his own particular way of playing, huge amount of skills, and I'm not sure I would have wanted to have played with him though, because I would take perhaps Tony Green ahead of Gaza, and of course I'd like, I had such a good relationship with Terry Hibbett, who was a passer of the ball, and when I went to Arsenal. Again, my relationship was very much with Alan Ball, who was a passer of the ball, where Liam Brady was a great runner on the ball, as Gaza was. For me, I was looking for a passer of the ball, people who had their head up, not down. And they were looking, and they could just go ponk at the right moment.
Okay, we've got another couple of questions to go before we finish. Les, did Terry Hibbett know how much he was loved by the fans?
Oh, yes, he did. And he knew even better how much he was despised by Gordon Lee. And the man despised him before even meeting him, and I found that absolutely horrendous. If I'd had my way, Gordon Lee would have been banned from the game forever. Okay,
simple answer to a simple question, that one. Question for Malcolm. After losing the League Cup final to Man City, do you think you'd get another chance? Did you ever think you'd get another chance of winning a trophy for Newcastle, or did you think it would be hard to get to another final? I mean, of course, 74, 76, two great cup runs, but unfortunately just didn't quite work out at Wembley for different reasons.
No, that's right. And when I played that game against Man City in 76, I pretty well knew that I would be on my way that summer. Gordon Lee was making it so abundantly clear to everyone who would be staying, who would be going, who he didn't want around. And I was one of those that he didn't want around. He would play me out of position, and I still scored goals from those positions. So it sort of stuffed him up a bit. And so the more I did that, the more he disliked me. And it was that situation that I could never win, no matter what. And so you can't afford to be stuck in that kind of situation. Your football career is way too short. It's got to be positive, not negative. Positive all of the time. And so I knew that I needed a way, but I also knew very clearly from Gordon Lee himself that he wanted me away. And so I pretty well knew around about the time I was playing against Man City at Wembley in the League Cup final that I would be on my bike at the end of that season.
Last question from Michael Brown. At which club did you believe you played your best and most consistent football?
My best and most consistent. Really, I was at my best and consistent at Arsenal and Newcastle. I played for 8 seasons. 5 for Newcastle, and well, actually 2 seasons for Arsenal. I was injured for most of the third, and in those seasons, yes, I became a better player, but nevertheless, the goals kept coming from the first week. I'm joining Newcastle. With my home debut, scoring a hat-trick, and it just went on from there. You can improve as a player, but the goal scoring, it just kept going on and on and on. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed playing for both clubs. The only thing that ever spoilt it was the arrival of Gordon Lee.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks everybody for your questions. Thanks to everybody in the chat, and thanks to the moderators as well for the work you do. If you want to subscribe to the channel, go to YouTube and search NUFC Matters. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the subscribe button and you won't miss a single show. We do 7 a week. Don't forget, Supermac and Gibbo will be at the Gateshead Leisure Centre. Free entry today. Get yourself along if you want to hear a little bit of pre-match chat. And I will be back next week with Gibbo for another Q&A with Gibbo, as Malcolm has another well-deserved rest. But I will be back at 5 o'clock tomorrow with the Amigos at 5 until 7. Look forward to seeing you all then. Malcolm, have a great day. Take care, mate.
All right. Thanks, Steve. And everybody, do enjoy this competition, and let's hope that England are qualified by the next time we all speak together.
Prediction for tonight's game?
I'll take England to sneak it, and I'll go 1-0 again.
1-0. I'm going to go 2-1. Great stuff. Take care, Mal.
Indeed. See you later, Steve.